Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today is another viewer request. If you guys have any requests for videos that you guys would like to see of certain topics in Warhammer 40K, please comment down below. Don't forget to put suggestion followed by whatever topic you guys want us to create a video for. Let's get into 40 Facts about the Skitarii. The Skitarii are the bionic heart of the Adeptus Mechanicus legions. Their tireless legions defend the forge worlds of the Imperium, annihilate the enemies of the tech priests, and fight at the vanguard of the quest for knowledge. As the technocracy of the cult Mechanicus extends its reach into the stars, the cybernetic Skitarii are always there at the forefront. Underneath their augmented battleware, the warriors that are the Skitarii are still technically humans. Yet each has been mutilated, dismembered, and extensively rebuilt to better serve the Omnissiah's will. Their manifold augmentation ensures not only their lethality, but also their utmost obedience. Neurosonic implants allow the strictly ordered Skitarii cohorts to fight in perfect unison, each maniple permanently uplinked to their master via invisible streams of information. To compare a maniple of Skitarii to a platoon of Imperial Guardsmen is to compare a well-oiled Gatling gun to a simple iron hammer. The Skitarii do not simply crush their foes, instead they ruthlessly blast them into bloody chunks of flesh. Every bit of data gathered from their enemies is captured for further analysis. Just as the Skitarii upload the martial strength of their foes to their masters, the tech priests download their own programs into the Skitarii. It is a usual practice for a legion's overseer tech priest to monitor each battle from a ship high above. Floating in a sea of data, each adept sends battlefield commands down via a data tether to the Skitarii on the planet below. In this way, their soldiers can be remotely augmented, used as eyepieces, forced into suicidal engagements, or even possessed entirely. The devout Skitarii see these moments as the divine spirit of the Omnissiah entering inside them and acting through them to the betterment of the Imperium. To the tech priest, their minions are little more than electric puppets jerking upon strings of pre-programmed impulse. The Skitarii seek to grow ever closer to the machine god by augmenting their bodies with holy indomitable metal. Each new wound is a chance for a bionic revelation. Such is their fanaticism that even healthy organs and body parts are cut away and replaced. To face a Skitarii legion is to fight against warriors that are less human and yet far more deadly. As with so much of the cult Mechanicus business, the truth of the Skitarii's creation is a close-kept secret. Most Skitarii are born into the service of the Mechanicus, either as natural-born human menials of the cult Mechanicus, who are cybernetically enhanced specialized to serve as Skitarii, or they are genetically engineered clones, or vat-born humans who are cybernetically enhanced from the moment of their accelerated birth, much like certain types of servitors. Others are repurposed from mind-wiped convicts or warriors handed over as punishment for failure or desertion. Unlike these cybernetic menials, most vat-born Skitarii are allowed to retain at least a small portion of their higher brain functions, so that they can follow the more complex orders often given on the battlefield. Regardless of origin, all find a fanatical faith in the Omnissiah soon after their inception. It is then that their true transformation begins. Without exception, the Skitarii have a pallid body of wrinkled flesh and stitched-up cybernetics. Ceramic valves and adamantium sockets stud hard knots of pallid translucent muscle. Even the brains of these warriors are grotesque hybrids of gray matter and twisting neural circuitry. The ones believed to be the most blessed pass a point called the Crus Mechanicus, where their bodies are more machine than flesh. Those that reach this stage of mechanomorphism are known as Skitarii Alphas. Some go on to attain the rank of Alpha Primus, overseers who can operate independently for standard years if necessary, as solid and reliable as the titanium that replaces their flesh. One who looks for consistency in Skitarii augmentation would be sorely disappointed. A soldier of the Mechanicus may have a punctured skull slot, and lethal bellows of lungs, while at the same time housing quantum bioware in their brain. It is often said that were one of these enhanced warriors to be rendered down, traces of nearly every element known to man could be found somewhere in their remains. The tech priests know this to be no exaggeration, for dissection is but one of the dark fates a Skitarii might undergo in order to satisfy his master's predatory curiosity, and how else would their master know how to better augment their next cybernetic slave? Skitarii train with their integrated cybernetic weapons until they are of the appropriate age to be sent into a war zone. To guarantee their undying loyalty to the adept of Mars, all Skitarii undergo various forms of psychosurgery. Some have their minds wiped of both emotions and personality, and are implanted with mental directives designed to ensure that they follow the order of their commanding tech priests, or magos, without question, even to the point of being essentially remotely controlled. Other Skitarii are allowed to retain a certain degree of personality, although their defining traits will always be belligerence and the desire to fight. Skitarii undergo genetic enhancement programs that develop strength and aggression, and are physically and cybernetically augmented to further these traits. During combat, the Tech Guard go into a hormone-induced rage, and likely become addicted to the adrenal high that close combat delivers. Despite this, however, the Skitarii, particularly their commanders, are neurally modified so that the analytical parts of their brains remain a bastion of calm amidst a storm of wrath, allowing them to quickly evaluate the tactical and strategic situations and then act accordingly. Along with their ability to understand binary code, which can be nearly instantaneously sent, received, and understood by the Skitarii's augmented cerebral cortices, this allows them to operate with a remarkable degree of cooperation, and something all the more stunning to be seen in a seemingly ragtag, raging horde. Like all the adepts of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Skitarii are experts at multitasking, and a Tech Guard officer can, for example, effortlessly engage in vicious close combat, direct the forces under his command, oversee the tactical situation of a battle, and provide coordination for the artillery detachments, all at the same time. Due to their extensive modification, the Skitarii can excel in almost any environment. Each legion hails from a hyper-industrialized forge world. Extreme doses of radiation are nothing to those who have trodden the toxic wastes of Mars. Even in the time-ravaged fringes of the Halo Star, the Skitarii legions march onward. They have painstakingly conquered worlds across the breadth of the galaxy, and whatever peril they face, they march faltered not. The Skitarii are organized into war hordes, capable of overcoming any foe. They work in glorious concert, every footstep or twitch of the trigger finger optimized to further the cause of the Cult Mechanicus. The mission of the Skitarii is to steal enlightenment from the galaxy and impose order in its place. Yet for all the flaunted objectivity, the logic of the Cult Mechanicus, for all the cybernetic replacements they embrace, the tech priests are still driven by human emotion and desire. Their war hordes are just as often sent to battle as part of a private agenda as they are to further the Omnissiah's cause. The Skitarii themselves do not care. They fear neither the monster nor the fiend. For them, it is enough to serve the Omnissiah's will, as expunged by their holy prophets. Even in death, they offer sacred data to their invisible master high above. In return, they receive doctrinal sacrament with every new day of war, and they are grateful for it. Those who feel the bliss of the Omnissiah's touch will fight like lions, every shot or blow calibrated for maximum lethality. Though such individuals usually go to the Great Maker soon afterwards, those that survive are treated as saints amongst their war hordes. Cyborg warriors that command the Skitarii cohorts passed the Crus Mechanicus long ago. Some are little more than a fleshy head, stitched to a mechanical body. But from the most basic alpha to the most vaunted Sicarian princeps, they are all worthy of respect. The war forms of the Skitarii leaders are typically compact, though each is possessed of inhuman strength and endurance. Those that have come through the vanguard are so heavily irradiated that the ground becomes barren in their footsteps. Only with regular visits to rad cleanser chambers can they be kept from slowly devolving into gruesome black smush. Those that hail from the ranks of the Rangers have a taste of their master's omniscience, and the paranoia to go with it. Those hailing from night worlds, typically young nobles who have failed the ritual of becoming, are physically indomitable, but have their brains implanted with motive selectors and memory catheters to keep their rage in check. Skitarii commanders are able to process a daunting amount of battlefield data. Each knows the military capabilities of his cohort and those of the foe to an obsessive degree. This savant-like wisdom makes these leaders fearsome foes indeed, for they have often won the battle before the first shot is fired. The Skitarii are fearsome foes, relentless in the pursuit of the Omnissiah's agenda, and equipped with the most advanced weaponry in the Imperium. Ultimately, though, each is but a cybernetic vessel for the will of the tech priests. In the heat of battle, the Skitarii will be remotely controlled by data imperatives that boost their minds and bodies to inhuman levels. These doctrina imperatives are codified to yield the maximum spectra of hard data. At range, the Skitarii benefit from protector imperatives that vastly increase their accuracy, suppressing close-quarter combat drill programs in order to bolster targeting subroutines. Hazard optimization is a gamma protector imperative commanded to bring their range weapons to bear by gamma-level imperatives. The Skitarii stalk forward into firing position, their tech priest masters unwilling to risk full possession of their critical moment. Gently increase each cohort's accuracy to a higher lethality. The gun drill symbiosis is used when the Skitarii blend their souls with the machine spirit of their weaponry until gun and wielder become one. A split second of silence follows as the Skitarii meditate upon sacred firing doctrines. Then the night lights up as deadly accurate firepower crisscrosses the battlefield, scything down the foe wherever they may hide. Binaric omniscience is when the Skitarii finds their minds possessed by blessed binary. The entire battlefield reduces to a series of zeros and ones, through which the casual path to the enemy's demise is clear as day. Ramped in this display of the Omnissiah's might, the Skitarii bullseye the foe with merciless inhuman efficiency. When the enemy closes in, the tech priests controlling each maniple download conquer imperatives that boost the martial subroutines of their Skitarii minions and galvanize them into physical action at the expense of their more elaborate targeting programs. One of these is the Mind State Sector, where the warrior wisdom of ancient and experienced sectors is force-loaded into the Skitarii mind. Each thrilling pulse of data gifts them knowledge of the most efficient way to dispatch a foe at close quarters, while retaining a reserve of strength for later use. The Techno-Martyr Concord is when a devotional command spools through the minds of the Skitarii at dizzying speeds, each new imperative driving the warrior of the Omnissiah further into the ranks of the foe. One so compelled will fight with the skills of a true weapon expert, his mind and muscles filling with the boundless energy of the motion force. Hyperaction protocols is when the Skitarii feel the press of an invisible hand upon their mind as the machine god drives them to the assault. They wield blades, goads, and lances with the pinpoint skill of a master sector, making their foes seem clumsy and blunt by comparison. And those were 40 facts about the Skitarii. Of course, we're not done with the Skitarii. We're going to continue to talk about the Skitarii. And I was actually kind of surprised. I really thought, because I want to start collecting Skitarii. I want to start collecting in Adeptus Mechanicus army. And I was really surprised when I found out that the Skitarii are basically just slaves. Like, they're the closest thing you're going to get to a robot in the Warhammer 40K universe, because of the whole Age of Strife and the what do you call them? Damn, it's escaping my mind. The artificial intelligent thing the Men of Iron. That's what I'm thinking of. The Men of Iron and attacking and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was really surprised. I'm still going to collect the Skitarii and the Adeptus Mechanicus because I like the Adeptus Mechanicus lore, but I was just really surprised that the Skitarii are just slaves. It's really interesting. Comment down below, let me know what other suggestions you guys want to get videos for. And again, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're creating our own lore. You can get some exclusive lore on our Patreon page, so if you want to support us a little bit more, it's a simple $1. You go there, and it's $1 a month, and you get extra content from us. So please help us out there. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.